Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have here with us Don Siclari, founder of InChek.net, to talk about payment processing for smart business owners. Welcome, Don.
Thank you, Majeed. Nice to be here.
I'll never forget the day I was sitting in the parking lot at the Ottawa, Canada City Hall, processing payments on my iPhone, a sheet of paper. And I was punching in the numbers into my iPhone when the Square app used to have the plug-in Square with the swipey card thing. And I felt like I had unlocked some superpower, like I can make money come from numbers on a paper.
Same feeling when our mobile app first came out, and I was like, I can plug. Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. And then, I discovered how to make a button with PayPal, and that unlocked the ability for me to make money from the internet because I can it felt like I was like coding HTML because I would go to PayPal and I would make a button and then I would get the HTML code and I would put it on a website. And that's how I could collect payments from the internet. And now I have Stripe with Thrive cards, and it's come a long way.
So you have Stripe, you should have us.
Tell me why. Tell me, what am I missing? I imagine there's so much I don't know that I don't know. So maybe if you want to give us a little brief history of payment processing and where we are now and what's the difference with the different solutions out there.
Well, payment processing began in the trading days when you would trade a buckskin for Well, there was a big revolution in the first decade of the 2000s, really, and where the automation really took off in payment processing. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but back in the 90s, we had what were called knuckle busters, primitive terminals, but also you put the card in the machine with a little piece of paper under it. You go like that. It's called a knuckle buster because you catch it right, it busts your knuckles, and those receipts would all be mailed into the bank, and so it was very laborious and time consuming. And then electronic auths came along, electronic settlement came along, and then mobile apps, as you said, came out. So in the last 20 years, there's been really some huge revolutions. And I myself witnessed the decline of checks and the increase in electronic payments, because when I started the company when I was 19 in college, we were processing checks. And that was from 2000 to 2007. And I literally watched the checks go like that and the electronic payments go like that. And then, Apple Pay came out. Now we have, I love Apple Pay. It's super convenient, right? You just click the thing, and now I no longer fear losing a card. You remember when you lost a card and, oh man, you gotta, now it's, especially if you're traveling, right? So, we live in a world now where payments are getting more electronic and not less. And now crypto's coming along and gateways are being built to integrate crypto. But it's interesting because throughout the last 20 years, I heard lots of theories and rumors. The traditional banking system's going to go away, fiat's going to go away, credit cards are going to be obsolete, and I'm not seeing any signs of that anytime soon.
What are the options to an online merchant like myself? I sell coaching programs, I sell online courses, and I've only ever known of PayPal and Stripe.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that's a great, that's the big piece I forgot I left out was Stripe and Square came along. It took some guys from outside the industry to streamline and revolutionize what was really an antiquated system, right? So Square came along and they integrated the merchant account, the gateway, into a mobile app with a flat fee pricing, which everybody likes, even though it often tends to be more expensive than the old fashioned way. It's easier to understand. 2.9% is 2.9%. It's not the old traditional pricing models. On some cards, you might pay 1.5%. On another, you might pay 3.2%. And so it confused everybody. So Square and Stripe came along and really revolutionized streamlining what became a turnkey solution. You few blocks of information, you have a merchant account. Now they're what's called aggregators, meaning that they are not underwriting an account for your business. They are throwing all of their merchants into one pipeline, into one essentially merchant ID that goes through a bin. And that works great for a turnkey, for getting started and so forth. But as a business grows, there are some things like risk management and so forth that are better off customized to that merchant. but because Stripe is an aggregator and they own your merchant account, they're able to light up the account with very little information and very quickly. But the flip side of that is, as it grows and any risk issues come up, now they're kind of hyper, their finger on the trigger to deal with that maybe too aggressively. So what we do, and what the traditional model is, we underwrite merchant accounts for your business specifically. So I get to know you, and I know what you're doing, and I know what your price points look like, and I know what the future is going to look like, and I know when you might do a launch, and I know what you see as risk, chargebacks and things, and we put it all together, and we create a program for you that's unlikely to run into the kinds of issues that you might with Stripe if your chargeback spiked, or you suddenly doubled your volume, or anything where somebody sitting in a cubicle sees a red flag on a screen and doesn't know you and goes, okay, well, let's freeze the account, let's hold funds, let's put a higher reserve, whatever. So we I like to say, maybe the best of both worlds. We have a very quick turnkey process. We streamline everything, make it as easy for you as we can. We integrate it with the gateway, we integrate it with the mobile app. So it's very Stripe and Square like, but it's customized and underwritten for your business specifically.
Cool. So describe to me the problems that would be experienced by a merchant who would come to you and you would say, oh, yeah, we don't have those problems, we can fix that.
So I have a 3-page testimonial that one of my Stripe converts wrote. And I told her, I said, no one's going to read 3 pages, but she's very thorough. And she went through every little minute issue they had with Stripe and how we solved that. But, from a 30,000-foot overview, a lot of it has to do with 2 things. One, customer service. At InChek, you have a cell phone number to text or call, myself. So for some of my clients or our account managers, get to know you personally, so you can get an answer right away. And let's face it, as I tell people, when my clients have an emergency in their business, it's a critical emergency, because if payment processing goes down, business goes down, right? So we understand that. So if something isn't working in the gateway, or, I recently had a client on a weekend who was doing a very large in-person coaching seminar, and he did about 900,000 that weekend in high ticket coaching packages that he sold. And he was using WooCommerce as the CRM and using our gateway. And we gave him the mobile app, so he had the Bluetooth reader and all of that. And he was having an issue with integrating a plugin between WooCommerce and the gateway. WooCommerce wasn't open for quick customer service call. They were on the fly. People were in line, and he had a PayPal account he didn't want to use. So we were able to troubleshoot that for him on a Saturday, get him the right plugin, and get them off to the races. So that's the kind of intensive customer service that we're able to provide. The other thing is risk management. Big complaint I hear a lot with Stripe is an account's frozen with no explanation. Reserves are increased. Reserves won't be released. Caps are suddenly put on the account you didn't know about. All of this is pretty much common risk management in my industry. It's all based on what your refunds and chargebacks and future delivery exposure look like. And all of that's calculated by algorithms and computers. And as I said, often interpreted by a human sitting in a cubicle, looking at data on a screen, who then doesn't want to lose his job. So as soon as he sees anything that's suspicious, he hits that button, and, you're not getting a deposit tomorrow. And we don't exactly work that way, because I know you. So if we see something suspicious, I call you, hey, Majeed, you've got 3 chargebacks suddenly, and they're all saying service not delivered. Do we need to have a talk? What's going on? So we handle things that way, as opposed to, just pulling the trigger on freezing an account or, something along those lines.
Let's talk about chargebacks. I've had 3 of them in the last 5 years.
Clearly you're doing something well.
That's good. Yeah, that's out of like, 500 transactions or 500 clients. My understanding is that the person who made the payment calls their credit card and says something to them. In my case, I deliver a coaching program, and I suppose they're saying something like, he didn't deliver the coaching program. And then what happens for me, from my perspective, is I get a message from Stripe that says, hey, someone said they didn't get the thing, so we took the money right out of your bank account. Stripe will go into my bank account, take the money out, and give it back to the person. Then it's on me to figure out what to do next. And I feel underprepared on how to deal with this proactively or reactively. So talk to me about what are chargebacks and how do we handle them?
Well, chargebacks are exactly what you said. Someone calls the bank or credit card company and disputes it and says, service wasn't delivered, I didn't authorize this, my card was stolen, whatever. And unfortunately, it does work that way where initially the money is taken back from the merchant. That's across the board. And then you can dispute it, and if you win, it's given back to you, but it tends to favor the consumer. Now, there's a few things that we offer. One is a chargeback representment service. So we contract with a third-party company who will handle those disputes for you. So you don't have to worry about it, and they're professionals. They know exactly how to spell it out and so forth. But the other thing is what we call chargeback alerts. And what happens is with the banks that are in the network, which is most Visa, not as much MasterCard, if a customer calls the bank and initiates a chargeback, you get a notice. And if you refund that chargeback or call the customer within 24 hours, it never becomes a chargeback. So you have a chance to call the customer and say, hey, what are you doing here? If it was a common misunderstanding, then they can rescind it, or you can offer them a partial refund or work something out with them. And then it doesn't become a chargeback and the money's not taken from your account. That's a new technology that's come out in the last few years.
What are the impacts of a chargeback on the merchant other than getting the money removed?
Well, Visa and MasterCard mandate that thresholds stay under 1% and or 100 Visa or 50 MasterCard a month. So you start getting too close to those thresholds and many things happen. First, reserves are increased, funds can be frozen, the account can be shut down. If it's allowed to run too long, you go into what's called the chargeback program, which all the card brands have. And then they start watching you after a certain number of months. They start issuing fines if the bank hasn't already shut you down. It just becomes a nightmarish hell for the merchants that's best avoided.
Okay. Let's talk about crypto, if you don't mind going there. One time out of like 500 clients, one person said, can I pay you in crypto? And I think he wanted to pay me in something that was not Bitcoin. I think it was called Litecoin. And I regret to say, I don't know how to take that payment. And I don't know how you can give me Litecoin from your Litecoin purse into my Litecoin purse. And so ever since then, I felt like, yeah, it'd be cool to have, if not just like cool and neat, oh, they collect crypto, but like, does your site or do you know of tools that make it easy to get paid in crypto?
Well, as you would expect, the fiat banking system is not a big fan of crypto, so they haven't been quick to integrate everything. There are some things coming out, some payment processors are starting to specialize in being able to integrate crypto. I know of one of those that I've spoken with, but also, the easiest way to get and receive crypto is to get a Coinbase account. And then you just have like a mailbox address you give someone and it comes in, and that's what I do. That's how I buy my crypto and watch my portfolio. And if I have to pay for something, it's kind of like PayPal for crypto. It's that easy. In terms of integrating payments like into the website directly, we don't internally have a way to do that yet. As I said, I have some relationships that are starting to build that kind of stuff, so we can look at possibilities there. I have one client that is creating a way for people to buy NFTs with credit cards. So we're working with him on that. It's a company I actually invested in, a friend's company. And so that's coming. It's very slow because there's a lot of pushback, from the banking system, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The powers that be that control the financial system.
Yeah. All right. Anything else as a business owner or merchant that we should be thinking about when it comes to payment processing, mistakes to avoid?
I'll say a couple of things. One is payment processing is something that people don't like to touch. Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. So sometimes, I'll talk to clients who are, they see switching as, a hassle of some sort. They've got to provide bank statements. They've got to provide processing statements. There's some work to do. And they're with another company, they're with Stripe, whoever, and things are fine. So there's no hurry. And then, 3 months down the road, I might get a message saying, hey, things blew up with Stripe. I need an account yesterday. And I can't do it yesterday. I can't even do it tomorrow. I need a few days, And so what I tell people is don't wait for, the axe to fall. Like if you like the sound of what we do, let's talk sooner than later. Because if you're coming to me in emergency room mode, yeah, I get a lot of that and I can deal with it, but it's much easier to put the pieces in place correctly up front.
So it might even be good to go through the steps of opening up a merchant account with you.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Great,
you know,
Don.
if you're happy with what you have and you just want to back up, I mean, we do that all the time as well. So
Yeah.
what I generally tell people is, you know, give us a month or two and see how we are, and then you'll be sold. But you know, and then sometimes I'll look at somebody and it truly isn't worth the time for them to switch. Maybe it's priced too low, or you know, the volume's really low, or any number of other reasons where I might look at it and say, look, I think you've got a great solution. Why don't you? I don't think you're in any danger there. So, you know, why don't you continue that for now? And let's talk in 6 months.
Are there any specific conditions that you should say to people that, yeah, you should definitely call us? Is it like certain industries or certain revenue levels or certain volume or frequencies?
So we specialize in e-commerce merchants. It's people doing things like you're doing, high ticket coaching packages, online info products, nutraceuticals, things of that nature. And there's not really a volume threshold. I mean, our sweet spot tends to be bigger clients, but I don't like to throw numbers around because people get that in their head and they go, oh, I'm too small, you know, and no, if you're a startup that, you know, has growth potential, I'm willing to work with you on that. It's so we don't really have hard numbers in that sense, especially when it comes to my network. You know, there are clients that are just not worth our time. You know, maybe the Chinese restaurant on the corner that's doing 5,000 a month, that's paying, you know, has nickeled and dimed everybody down to the margin and hasn't heard from their sales rep in 6 months because no one wants to deal with them. I mean, we've had a few of those. I had one liquor store came to me a bunch of years ago and gave me a statement, and he said, I want to save $500 a month. I'll switch to you if I can save $500 a month. And I looked at it, and his total bill from his other processor was $378. So if I'm saving him $500 a month, I'm paying for his processing, you know. So that happens occasionally, but I'm more being funny. I mean, not really much in the circles that you and I are in.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom here, Don. I think you probably saved some people some headaches with the chargebacks and just understanding how this all works. So thanks again.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
How will people get a hold of you?
InChek.net, INCHEK.net. And then there's an apply now link, which has like 5 fields of information. It'll take you a few seconds. That opens a lead in our CRM and triggers the response process, which sends you an electronic data form to fill out. We get in touch and so forth. So if you do that, you know, when we talk, we'll ask how you found us, and you'll say, I saw you on the podcast, and we'll go from there. Alternatively, I mean, my email, don@InChek, INCHEK.net. Happy to respond to direct inquiries, or if you want to get on a call and discuss something before you fill anything out, that's fine too. I mean, I'm pretty easy about how we do things here.
Thank you, Don. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Majeed.
Thank you for listening to the Expert Speaker Podcast. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and leave us a rating so that more people can discover the Expert Speaker Podcast, and so more people can be empowered to share their message. Be sure to go to www.expertspeaker.com and take the masterclass to learn how to grow your business and make money speaking. It's totally free and will change your business. If you're ready to work with Expert Speaker, you can apply. Just go to expertspeaker.com/apply, and someone from our team will be in touch with you to help you grow your business with public speaking. That's expertspeaker.com/apply. We'll see you in the next episode.